Chapter 3 Confession. Light streamed in through the gaps in the drapes, which caused me to wearily open my eyes. Despite all the anguish and trauma that I had been through the previous night, I was now in a decent enough mood to carry on with life normally, without any thoughts about Pauline distracting me from anything. Happy that I felt like myself again, I dressed and wandered downstairs for breakfast. All the while, I was lulled by the melodies of relaxing ambient songs on the radio, and I was still half asleep, so I let the calm atmosphere take over my whole body, which was ready to slump down at the table and enjoy a good hearty breakfast. However, when I entered the dining room, all that tranquillity disappeared, and I felt confused because my siblings' faces were adorned with sorrow, particularly Iggy's and Wendy's, but Lemmy had the literal definition of guilt slapped onto his forehead. "What?" I asked. "What's going on?" It was Iggy who addressed me first. "Larry, I want to talk about what's going on up there in that mind of yours." What the heck? Had I completely missed out on something? "Huh? What are you talking about?" I asked. "Nothing is going on in my brain." Iggy snickered. "Yeah, well that's the complete opposite of what Lemmy said. He told me that last night you had a really bad nightmare about Pauline, our mother, killing you." As my brother was talking, I felt my face grow all hot, and I hoped that I wasn't blushing. "Oh, really, Lemmy?" I sighed. He looked back at me with a regret in his eyes and whispered, "Sorry," before glancing down again. Lemmy was always so helpful by telling my siblings how I felt when I didn't feel like confessing it myself, but this wasn't really the case when I had a nightmare that was scary and blood-curdling, a nightmare that I wanted nobody else to know about. "None of us have seen Pauline for years. You haven't seen her since you were 4. And you've never known her do anything bad before," Iggy said. "But what caused you to have a dream like that if you don't know fully what she's like?" I almost let out a chuckle. Dream? That was the understatement of a lifetime. However, I stumbled for words when Iggy said this. I don't know," I replied. Iggy raised an eyebrow at me, causing me to let out a groan. After I had managed to compose myself and gather my thoughts together, I said, "Look, you know all those things that you used to say about Pauline? I was just picturing something relatable to what you told me. That's all it was." My oldest brother pursed his lips ever so slightly and looked up. It seemed like he was thinking about this. "Is that so?" he asked after a long period of silence. "Yeah, honest," I replied without hesitation. Then something else came to my mind. That something was what I had been bottling up inside me for years, and I felt that it was necessary to just confess it. Right here, right now. "But there's something kind of bothering me," I almost muttered. This time it was Wendy who spoke up. "Why? What's wrong, bro?" I took a long shaky breath and carried on, determined to say what I really thought. "Iggy, going back to Pauline's supposedly bad actions—" "Wait a sec," Iggy interrupted me. "What do you mean by supposedly?" Oh crap, I had messed up. I wanted to unravel the confession slowly and calmly, but instead I had tipped over the bucket and let the water spill way too quickly and way too soon. I stammered. It took a while for me to form coherent sentences, and what made it more difficult was that I had to choose my words very carefully indeed. You've told us a lot about Pauline. I know I had a bad dream about her, and she seems like a horrible person and all, but what I'm trying to say is, maybe you weren't telling the truth about her." I winced and half looked away, hoping that my words hadn't caused too much of a reaction, but in actual fact, I couldn't have been more wrong. My siblings' eyes widened and their faces dropped, and instantly I thought, "God damn it, why the hell did I say that?" The expression that mostly caught my attention was Iggy's. He looked as if he was either going to punish me or yell at me, but to my relief he did neither. "What?" he said in an unexpectedly soft manner. "Why?" "It's just the way you talk about her. It seems, well, too good to be true. And besides, do you really expect me, of all people, to believe that garbage 100%? "Larry, it's not garbage," Iggy said sternly. "Prove it then." "I can't. There's no way that Pauline is just going to magically turn up anytime soon." "You don't know that," I exclaimed. "You're hiding stuff from me. It feels like I can't trust you. You're lying just so we can't see our real mum." "Guys, please stop," Wendy cried. "This is getting out of hand." "No, let me deal with this," Iggy replied. He stood up from his chair, placed his hands flat on the table, and gave me a death stare. I must admit I was quite afraid, which was ironic, since Iggy was used to people intimidating him instead. "You are the most stubborn kid I've ever met." The moment I heard this, I thought, yes, I am. Throughout all the times I've acted stubborn, I've been proud of it because it made me feel wise and clever. But now I felt sad because I was just a desperate son who wanted to get to know his mother more. I sighed dismally and looked up at my brother. "You know, you've always said stuff like, 'Pauline's a really bad person, she's done a lot of bad things in the past and she hates us and yada yada. But what I've always wanted to know is why.'" I felt a tear prick the back of my eye, but I blinked it away. I didn't want Iggy being satisfied from seeing me cry. "Why does she hate us?" I asked lugubriously. To my surprise, when I asked this last question, I saw Iggy's face soften, and his eyes didn't seem so red and angry anymore. Instead, they looked benevolent and understanding. "Well, there is a reason why," Iggy said. "But I don't think it's right for any of you to know." "But why?" I protested. "We all have every right to know. We're her kids." "I understand that, but it's way too dangerous. If I told you guys, you'd wish I never told you." I let out a groan of annoyance and exclaimed, "Ah, here we go again! Lies, lies, lies! You know what?" I stormed out of the dining room, and what aggravated me more was Iggy following me from behind. "Larry, where are you going?" "I'm going out," I snapped back, pulling my coat off the peg and giving him a sharp glare. "I'm sorry," Iggy protested. I completely dismissed what he had said, and I flung open the front door. "Please, calm down," Iggy pleaded. But again I took absolutely zero notice, and I stormed off down the street. I was determined to reach the house of the person who I could trust and talk to, and possibly, just possibly, get a bit of information about Pauline. So, with adamance boiling in my blood, I carried on briskly walking.